Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. As many of you know, we are facing a proposed magazine limit here in the state of Washington. It would ban all magazines that hold over 10 rounds, which is basically the magazine for almost every gun you can buy. At least as far as most polymer guns are concerned, most self-defense guns, a lot of rifles, etc. So this is what we're facing. Now, it has passed the Senate and it is now in the House. And I wanted to give a little update today as to how it's going. Because the legislative session is almost over. It only runs, I don't know, another week or two. And there are set rules on where things have to be in the process before they can advance. And unless I'm greatly misreading the rules of our House and Senate in Washington, up there in Olympia, anything that is going to be read onto the floor, which means it can be voted upon at any time, has to have had it done by yesterday. This bill has not been read to the floor. So it looks to me like it can't go on, but there are exceptions. If things are ballot initiatives or they are related to the budget, then they have an extended deadline to be read onto the floor, and that deadline is the 4th. Today is the 1st, so that gives it till Friday. Is that Friday that's the 4th? I'm not sure. Feel free to check me on that, but I believe it's Friday of this week is the 4th. So that would give them till then, although this is not a ballot initiative. This whole bit of legislation was basically dictated to the Congress by our Attorney General, who is a notoriously anti-gunner who loves Bloomberg money and has aspirations to be governor and then someday president. And he would be the worst governor. He'd be worse than Inslee even, because this guy is a megalomaniac who cares only about his own advancement in politics, which means he's a perfect politician. But like I say, this is not a ballot initiative. This is an initiative that the Attorney General basically wrote and then just pawned it off onto the Congress. This isn't the will of the people or even the will of the representatives. It's the will of one person who's getting paid by Bloomberg heavily. So this isn't a ballot initiative. It also doesn't have anything to do with the budget. And those are the only things that can still come to the floor as of now are budget issues and ballot initiatives. So I don't see how they're going to get it to the floor, but I'm sure they'll find some way. But after the 4th, there's no way. If this thing hasn't been out of committee and onto the floor by the 4th, even if they want to call it a budget issue, can't come out of committee. As of today, it's still in the Rules Committee. Hasn't received any votes or anything in the Rules Committee. Now, that could happen before I post this video. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen Thursday. It could happen Friday. But like I said, I don't see why they would have till the 4th, because not a ballot initiative, not a budget issue. But that's where we are right now. That's why I've been saying all along that I didn't think it was a done deal. Would have to see. Now, normally I would already say this is dead. But there is a lot of money behind this bill and a lot of powerful people across the country behind this bill. Politicians support this bill on both sides of the aisle, no matter what they say. And law enforcement is strongly in support of this bill. Law enforcement is not on our side when it comes to gun rights or anything as far as I'm concerned. So stop making that mistake. But like I said, I would normally say it's dead, but with how many powerful, wealthy people are behind it, I don't have the nerve right now to pronounce it dead because, like I said, it's got till Friday. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It has to be read onto the floor by Friday. It's got to be read into the record so that they can actually vote on it before the end of the session, which I do believe is they can't do any business after the 10th, I want to say. Might be a little later than that, but I think it's the 10th they can't do any business after. So that's where we are right now. We're kind of in limbo. I think under normal circumstances, it'd be dead. But because there's so much money and power behind this one, I think they're going to try something slick at the end here. So we'll have to just wait and see. But like I said, right now, it's still sitting in committee. And whether it has the ability to come out of that committee or not remains to be seen. All right, everybody, with that being said, I want to move on to a viewer question that I received a while back but haven't gotten around to answering. It's a very simple question. They ask, should blind people be allowed to own guns? Wouldn't it be way too dangerous for blind people to own guns? If you can't see a target or know what you're shooting at, you can't possibly be safe with a firearm. So why would they have them? A lot of people will use an analogy and say, well, they can't drive cars. They have to pass an eye test to be able to drive a car, so obviously they shouldn't be allowed to have guns. And that's their logic. Well, I completely disagree with that. I think blind people should be allowed to own guns. For one, owning a gun is a constitutional right. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say people have a right to drive a car. Although I do believe people do have a right to drive a car. They have a right to exercise that privilege. They have a right to use the roadways, etc. But driving a car is very dangerous. Far more dangerous than guns. That's one of the things people on the left love to ignore. Cars kill more people. Cars are far more dangerous. If anyone did want to kill a group of people or a crowd of people, a car could do it just as easily as a gun. In fact, easier in some ways, because you can get away right afterwards quickly if you do it right. Most shootings, especially mass shootings, don't end well for the shooter. They end up with a bullet in their head, usually self-inflicted or by police. Whereas you could actually run over some people on a sidewalk and get away. It's kind of like how bombs are better, in my opinion, because you can get away. But the whole idea that guns are as dangerous as cars is just not true. When people operate a car out on a public street, that's very dangerous. High rate of speed. You got to be reacting to things constantly. Guns are not the same. A blind man can have a gun on his belt, and he may not be able to see, and there's different levels of blindness. Let's remember that. My father is legally blind, but he can drive a car with his glasses on, but with them off, he's legally blind. So we got to remember there's different levels there. But even if you're total blackness blind, total darkness, I should say, blind. I don't want to assume your race. You can still own a gun. For one, it's your constitutional right. And since when do we start taking away constitutional rights from people just because they have a disability? Should we take away the First Amendment right from people who are deaf because maybe they didn't hear all the information before they started talking? No, of course we shouldn't. And the Second Amendment is important for self-defense and for other things where people can be useful. But maybe a blind man's not going to be your sniper if you ever form a militia. But let's look at the same blind man if he's ever attacked by someone. You don't have to have the gift of sight to know someone just grabbed you and threw you to the ground and is now punching you in the head for no reason. And it doesn't take sight to be able to pull a gun and shoot someone at close range who's on top of you. And in fact, blind people are often seen as potential victims because they have a disability. They're not going to be able to fight back as easily. So I believe blind people should have every right to carry a gun for self-defense, because if they do find themselves in a situation where suddenly they're being attacked, even whether it's something that, they saw coming or didn't, not to use the wrong terminology there, but, they anticipated it because of things going on around them, like maybe they're in a bad situation and they can't get away, or if it's just all of a sudden and they didn't see it coming. They still should have a right. Someone's on me, someone's attacking me, I've got a gun in my waistband, I'm going to pull it and fire because my life is in danger right now. Why should they not have that right because they're blind? I don't see any reason whatsoever. Now, if they go out and do something stupid, like if someone says, that guy over there is going to kill that baby, and then they go, well, I'll take care of it. And they pull out their gun and they start shooting in the wrong direction into a grade school or something. Well, then you hold them accountable for that action because they did something irresponsible. But that's how you handle things like this. If someone who's blind owns a gun and uses it for self-defense up close and does it successfully, no damage has been done, no law's been broken. If they do something irresponsible that's outside their capabilities and they cause harm to others, well then of course they'll be held responsible for that. But that's not justification from taking away the right entirely from all of them. So of course I believe, when you ask me if blind people should be allowed to have guns, I say definitely blind people might need guns more than some other people do, simply because some people see them as a target. All right, everybody, that's my show for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back again tomorrow. Until then, I just want to remind everyone to always carry, regardless of your level of sight, and stay safe until I see you again.